Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rethink Life, our new episode. And today we are talking about, and the subject is, has depression got you down? So, what we're talking about today is all aspects of depression and anxiety and worry and all that stuff that seems to put a dampener on life, seems to put, life doesn't look as colorful and as fun and as vibrant. It just kind of puts a dampener on it. So we wanted to take a look at it because you had people pre-pandemic, that were like, now while we're in the throes of it all, are kind of like, well, it's, people are really dealing with depression. And now you have that we're coming out of the pandemic and things are opening up. Now you have people's anxiety about reentry. So, so given that we've heard all of this, we thought, let's look at the scientific metaphysics or the metaphysical science view on this whole thing around depression and anxiety and worry and what all that's about. So I want to welcome Betty. Welcome to the episode.
Thanks.
And we're just going to jump right in here. And if you have any questions or anything at all that you want us to address around any of this, please feel free to type that into the chat or the comments, and they will come our way and we will address them. So please feel free to do that. It makes a difference. We want to make sure that we're answering your questions and anything like that. So I'm going to jump right in here. And in mind is The Athlete, which is Betty Albee's book. Betty, will you lower your camera just a little bit to raise yourself up? Just a tad. There you go. Very good. Thank you very much. And in Mind is the Athlete, on page 136, you say, you and I attach meaning to what we observe and thereby fabricate an endless chain of events for ourselves. So let's look at that a little bit and break that down. So things happen, and then we attach meaning, and we have a whole story around what happened and why it happened and this and that and blah, 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 and who shot John and whatever else. And is that the fabrication of the endless chain of events? Or say more about that.
Yeah, I've made this point many times, and you'll get to hear it many times more, because fundamental to scientific metaphysics is the capacity to distinguish between facts and fiction. The language world we walk through that we think is the way it is the fiction. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that's held mankind down for centuries. We think the way it looks is the way it is. The way it looks is the way we believe that it is. The way it looks is feedback telling you what you are believing. And if you are believing in a lot of stuff out there, separate from you, causing destruction, causing concern, causing unhappiness, or with the power to cause you to be happy and productive, so that when that doesn't look that way, then you're not happy and you're not productive. So you think the circumstances, the picture surrounding you runs your life. And for most people, it does. Mm-hmm. And that's depressing.
And thereby the source of depression. Okay. Yeah, now we've solved that whole problem. Any questions?
Yes. So scientific metaphysics, again, begins with the statement that all is infinite mind and its infinite manifestation. That's what is going on. Reality is present all the time.
Right.
The way it looks is your view of what's present. Yeah. And in your view of who you are as present, you have a name. With me, I call it Betty. And I think a lot of the time that Betty is actually having this and that and something else going on. And then I remember that is the way I see it. But that what's actually present is grounded in perfection, mm-hmm. whole, complete, joyous, free, the whole thing.
Right.
And I can be in touch with what's actually present. I can relax my concern over the way it looks.
Right.
And there comes the freedom.
Right.
So we're
Exactly.
making the same point over and over because that's what happens. We look at the picture, we get concerned, or we think one thing or another about it. We have beliefs about it. And as long as we're in that realm, the beliefs dominate us and we're
Right.
victims.
Right.
Yeah.
And it ends up impacting our actions, our outlook, how we are with the people in our life. The whole darn thing gets impacted. But if what we can do is we can start to take a breath and we can look at what's causative.
Yeah. And
That
what the thing is that it's amazing that we're here. It's amazing that life is living itself. And this is the way it looks to me.
Mhm.
But what gives me a little dominion is the recognition of what are the qualities and characteristics of reality.
Yeah.
What I'm looking at are the characteristics of the view I've got.
Right.
When I can get in touch with the facts, things shift.
Yeah. And Sarah Busey has said, "Thou shalt not bear false witness," has a whole new meaning for me with that.
Of course. Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for you, Sally.
And I would say that there are so the whole thing there is to pay attention to what's going on, but it's this whole, you could approach it. And what I look at when I'm not hooked by something going on, I can then, in my better kind of more calm place, I can go, wow, it's all just a laboratory for my own self-discovering.
Yeah, for me to discover what that reality is, rather than the way it looks, which I'm very familiar with.
And if I practice and I'm mindful as I walk through my days, I can get that faster.
Yeah, you can get less hooked.
That's correct. I can get to that place faster and be willing to have it be this way, and then start to say, is that the way? Is that what's going on? Is that? And
the one thing to recognize is that just the teeny tiniest little perception of it possible that could be true. Yeah. Miracles occur. Right. It's just amazing how fast things shift.
Right. Exactly. So you then say on 138 of your book, Mind is the Athlete, observable phenomena, all forms, are merely language, views of what is actually manifest.
Yep.
So observable phenomena, everything we can see, hear, feel, taste, touch, everything around us and our circumstances, the whole 9 yards, all forms, is merely language.
Yep.
And that's a view of what's actually manifest, what's actually there.
It's a view of reality. It's my current view of what's going on. But what's going on has a reality that I have just begun to scratch the surface of. And so I look at that reality and I discuss things like that I call God and the God idea, and Mary Baker Eddy gave us a lot of words for that: life, truth, love, soul, spirit, principle, all that. And when I look at those things, none of them are seen, heard, and felt. Not a single one.
Right.
We see the results of our belief about life, or our belief about love, or our belief about truth. But we can't actually see any of those things. Right. We just make it up as we go along.
Right.
Like the one thing I do know is that something is present or Betty wouldn't show up.
Right.
When she shows up, reality is present. What it looks like, I haven't a clue. I work on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Very fun. All right. Moving on. Again, on page 138 of your book, the seen, heard, and felt are simply views of the magnificent, powerful being that's actually present when form, Tom, Dick, Susie, Betty, Kim show up.
That's right. Yep. It's exactly what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So when you observe that something isn't fun, that something doesn't meet with your approval, when something causes you to be concerned or worried or downhearted, all that.
Mhm.
When that kind of stuff shows up, you need to just drop it. You don't have to analyze the picture. You don't have to figure out how to make it better. Just leave it alone. Go right to the facts that you know, any one of the facts. In fact, you can go to things like 2 and 2 is 4. Any fact will lift you out of the belief.
Okay.
So
That's
when I say
interesting.
everything's mental, that's a fact. When I say love governs the universe, that's a fact. When I say all is infinite mind, that's a fact. And I don't have to do any huge thing about it. I just have to be willing to stop getting hooked by the picture that's around me
Right.
and say, I don't know why it looks that way, but I know that love is present. I know that truth is present.
Yeah.
And after a while, the whole picture flips over.
Yeah.
And I begin to see what looks like kindness and charity and comfort and joy. Where before I had seen nothing but weird pictures of grief or uncomfortable stuff or
Right.
discouraging things.
Right.
I just
mean,
have to leave it alone.
You just leave it alone, and you can see God present in everything that's there. Again, part of my own self-discovering. So I don't need to be in an argument with it.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
So you say appearances of any kind indicate the presence of reality. Reality is all there is, capital R.
Yep.
But what it is, you only have a view of. It's a view of the one reality present. Correct?
Yeah, and I do have a whole language, I could call it that, a whole bunch of words anyway, that tell me that reality is beyond the descriptions I have of my language world.
Yeah.
Reality is all whole. It's always perfect.
Yeah.
It's always present. It's
Mhm.
always the being me, however I see myself.
Right.
So that when I get in touch with who I am, any beliefs about it just drop away quickly.
Yeah.
Because reality is what's running the show.
Right.
And the reason it looks terrible when I don't see that is to get my attention on the facts.
Yeah, because it's that which will get your attention.
That's right.
Because
Whatever
when it looks
it takes to
fabulous,
get
it's
my
like,
attention.
oh yes, it is. Everything's fabulous, and on we go. And you don't stop to even think about that, right? Because if you're like, right on, here we are. So Sandra Jackson actually is quoting from the Laird Letter, Volume 1, Number 8, 320 to 23. Volume 1, Number 8. I don't know what year that is, but at any rate, in fact, without science, the awareness that identifies every concept with and as spirit mind, you have no senses with which to see, hear, and feel yourself as you truly are, well and happy.
Yeah. I'd like to know the date of that Laird Letter. The volume stuff doesn't mean much to us, but if I know that it's January of 1965, I can go look it up.
Yeah.
So Sandy, give us the date.
Right. Very good. And all of the Laird Letters are available and can be ordered through our website. So if anyone has any interest in that, those are all fully available all the way back to what year would that be?
When she started, 1954.
1954. So we've got over
up through 82.
60, 70 years of letters. Okay. So that's kind of fun. All right. And it was 1954 was that one. It was the Volume 1. So there you go. 1954 is what that was from. Okay.
You've already done this one.
Huh?
You've already done this quote.
I know it was already up when I put up Sandra's.
Okay.
All right. So next we're going into Science and Health. Mary Baker Eddy. She
Yep.
says, conceding power to discord, a large majority depresses mental energy, which is the only real recuperative power.
Yeah.
So let's unpack it a bit. So conceding power to discord. So disharmony, disagreement. What does she mean by discord? Conceding power to
Sin,
a
sickness,
book that
and
you
death,
don't
for
like.
one thing.
Say that again, sorry.
Mary Baker Eddy called it sin, sickness, and death.
So there you go. Okay, so you concede power to sin, sickness, and death. A large majority.
Or, you can say the COVID-19, you can say war in Israel or in Syria or in Iraq or in Afghanistan or wherever in my world. All of that stuff is the discord she's talking about. Conceding power to those views depresses mental energy, and all energy is mental, every bit of it. And mental energy is the only recuperative power. So cut it out.
Yeah. So
You
it could
cripple
be
yourself
any
with that
discord.
stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be war and all that. It could be, I have a problem with my finances. Oh, like that. It could be you're breaking up with, your relationship is breaking up around the rocks. You could have lost your job. You might have an issue with work or with a boss or with a neighbor.
Or you
Anything
had a
like that.
fender
is
bender with your
discord.
car.
Right. So any of that is discord. Yeah.
Yep.
So anything that you're looking at, anything that you could be anxious about, worried about, what would be the worry other than discord? And conceding power to it would be the worry, as if there's something that could impact you that way, right? That's what we're talking about when we really break it down.
Yep.
So all of that stuff depresses mental energy. So don't do that.
Yeah, don't go there.
Yeah, don't go there. But anyway, so I don't mean to be flip about it, but that's the stuff we're looking at, right? That's where you give away the power, you give away the farm, if you will, on a lot of stuff. And then you wonder why you're a victim. Why me, oh Lord? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have another comment. This is great. A clarification. It was July of 1954 was the
That's
quote.
what I
So
wanted
thank
to
you,
know.
Sandy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So on we go. From Science and Health, the scientist takes best care of his body when he leaves it most out of his thought.
Yep.
So take no thought. Is that?
Yeah, it's take no thought.
Uh-huh. It's
like the lilies of the field. They take no thought and they're just lovely.
Yeah.
You have this Betty. I have this Betty that I play around with. And the less I think about Betty, the better off Betty is.
Right.
It just shows up doing what it should do and having what it should have and going where it should go.
Right.
And I pay very little attention to it.
Right. But as of those lilies, the hidden life of lilies, you have no idea what they're thinking. Just saying. All right.
Or what the thinking is that has them be.
That's correct. There you go. All right. Again, Science and Health. Mind decides whether or not the flesh shall be discolored, painful, swollen, and inflamed. And this is mind, capital M. So this is the God idea decides whether or not the flesh shall be discolored, painful, swollen, and inflamed.
Yeah, and guess when it fills all that, when it fulfills on that discolored, painful, swollen, and inflamed stuff?
When I buy the picture.
Yeah, when I think that what I'm looking at is mind manifest rather than my view of it. Mind itself is perfection present.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good. So it isn't mind manifest is not what we're looking at. It's mind present showing up the only way we can see it.
Yeah, the way I see it is always the language.
Right.
My language.
Right.
Your language. Right. We all have our own language of comfort.
Right. For our self-discovering, and it's the only way we can see it.
Yeah.
But I like the distinction about mind manifest? No. That's not what we see. What we see is mind, perfection present, the only way we can see it.
Yep.
And that's a very big distinction.
And incidentally, Mrs. Laird made the point quite often that the way each one of us sees it is always the very best way we can see it, given who we're being and who we see ourselves to be.
Right.
And I want you to know that what you know and what you realize and what you're willing to look at is always equal to anything confronting you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be an Einstein to practice science. You just have to be consistent in the distinguishing of fact from fiction,
Mm-hmm.
reality from the appearance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. And on we go with Science and Health. Mary Baker Eddy said, through this action of thought and its results, students prove by small beginnings the grand verities of science.
Yep.
Okay, so I have to read that again. Through this action of thought and its results, students prove by small beginnings the grand verities of science. So break that down.
Yeah. Whatever you've got going on, whatever it is, you can prove by small beginnings just when it occurs to you. Oh, right now, I'm sitting here thinking I'm talking on YouTube and Facebook and whatever with Kim. What's actually happening is I'm taking a look at the facts of being showing up as my experience of living. It looks like I've got somebody off in another city that I'm talking to. Well, there's nothing present but omnipresence, omnipotence, omni-action, reality present. And this is the way it looks to me. And on we go.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And our last quote tonight from Science and Health, you are a law unto yourself.
Yep.
And I've said it before and I'll say it again, but from your mouth to God's ear, about 6 inches.
Okay. But it's whether you're consciously aware or unconsciously just going along with the current of common thought,
Right.
So if I'm consciously aware, there's an opening for amazing things. If I'm just going along, picking up whatever I see and being swayed by the wind of the times, then I have what goes on for I have, be, do, and have what others be, do, and have.
Right.
And I'm a victim.
Yep.
So all I have to do is be consciously aware of a scientific fact.
Yes.
And it takes me right out of that belief business.
Right. Excellent.
Yep.
Now, moving on to Christian Science Re-Explored by Margaret Laird, we've got a couple quotes here. As our environment expands, we gain confidence in our capacity to deal not only with what are called personal problems, but also with questions which confront our country and our world.
Mm-hmm. See, as you live your science to whatever degree you do, as that goes on, you become more confident because you can see that it makes a difference. And there's nothing like your own evidence of, oh, I stopped getting depressed by that picture. And I just, for a moment, thought, it doesn't have to be that way. And things shifted.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's not quite as bad as it was before. Things seem to be opening up or loosening up or whatever. But as you do that over and over and over, pretty soon you get pretty confident. You say, wait a minute, I don't have to have this problem. All I have to do is recognize that I'm just looking at language, that where I'm standing is actually entirely free, whole, perfect, complete, joyous. Right. On we go.
Right. And Sandy says, real science, the power and law of infinite love or mind. And that's taken from 1954, but May. So She's adding that into the conversation.
Okay.
Okay. So real science, the power and law of infinite love or mind.
Are you sure it's 1954, Sandy?
Yes, she's sure it's 1954, Mother. Okay, on we go. Christian Science re-explored. Man has mind, or the God idea, for his own only when he has no personal mind.
Yep. No human mind figuring things out, adjusting, fixing, changing, adjusting, analyzing, all that stuff. That's all the human mind trying to figure out within the problem how to solve the problem. And you can't do it. Einstein said you can't solve the problem from within the problem. And science goes right along with that. No, sir. The language is just the language. It's a point of view. The facts of being are the actual presence, however you're seeing them.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. So when you have no personal mind, it's mind present, the God idea.
Yeah, it's universal intelligence.
And it's not personal.
That's right.
So when you're clear about that, you've got a lot of freedom. All right. So yes, Sandy is absolutely clear it is 1954.
Good.
Okay. All right. And we have another quote from Christian Science Re-explored by Margaret Laird. And this understanding makes each individual his own mind and his conscious human individuality.
Yeah, it's always understanding that's the key. And it doesn't have to be an encyclopedic understanding. It just has to be the sense, the intuitive sense that you have that there is something whole, perfect, wonderful, the God idea in action, present.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I see it this way.
Mm-hmm.
I can just leave that alone.
Right.
Miracles occur.
Right.
But if I try to fix it, I'm hooked by the picture and I've lost my contact with reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I've got all my worry, all my anxiety, all my fear of the future, or my sorry about the past, or whatever. That's where that comes from, is from within the picture, trying to manipulate it, change it, force it, will it, something like that, rather than understanding the source of all of it in the first place.
Yeah, being willing to be the mental energy that has it occur.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, very fun. Okay. And that is our last quote. So any final comments you would like to make about Has Depression Got You Down?
I am willing to see that in my human living every day, there is something on the news, something on the television, something in the magazine I'm reading, something in a telephone call that comes in that tries to tell me that things are not okay. And so my discipline is to stay with the facts and just leave those pictures alone. They're always going to look that way.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have to be a victim of any of those views at all.
Right.
It's up to me. I'm a law unto myself.
That's right. And that's
and
called
self.
self.
Used to say, Christian Science, be a law unto yourself.
Right.
Well, that's what we need to do.
And that's self-responsibility.
Yep.
Yeah. And that makes all the difference. Okay. That's all we have for tonight. Go forth, be self-responsible, play in the practice of science. Have it be a play. Have it be an inquiry about your own self-discovering. What's there? Why does it look like this? This is amazing. So get curious, start to look, and then acknowledge the facts. Stay clear. 2 and 2 is 4. And we will be here next week, 5 p.m. Pacific and 7 p.m. Central. So we'll see you then. And until then, 2 and 2 is 4.